Hello and welcome. Are you ready to dive into the exciting world of fish farming? It's a journey that can be incredibly rewarding, offering fresh, healthy food right from your own pond and even a potential income stream. If you've ever looked at a body of water and thought, could I raise fish here? Then you're in the right place. Today, we're going to break down everything a beginner needs to know to get started with fish farming step by step. We'll cover the essentials from choosing the right species to managing your pond and ensuring your fish thrive. Let's begin by understanding what fish farming, or aquaculture, truly entails. It's the practice of raising fish in controlled environments like ponds, tanks, or cages for food, sport, or even ornamental purposes. For beginners, focusing on food production is often the most practical and rewarding starting point. The beauty of fish farming is its scalability. You can start small in your backyard and grow as your knowledge and confidence increase. The very first and perhaps most crucial decision you'll make is selecting the right fish species. This choice will influence everything from your pond setup to your feeding strategy. For beginners, it's wise to choose species that are hardy, grow relatively quickly, and are well suited to your local climate and water conditions. Consider species like tilapia. They are incredibly resilient, tolerate a wide range of water quality parameters, and grow fast. They are also omnivorous, meaning they'll eat a variety of feeds, which can simplify your feeding regimen. Another excellent option is catfish, particularly channel catfish in many regions. They are also robust, can handle fluctuating conditions, and are a popular food fish. If you're in a cooler climate, trout might be an option, but they require colder, well-oxygenated water, which can be more challenging to maintain. For ornamental purposes, goldfish and koi are popular, but their farming differs significantly from food fish. Once you have a species in mind, the next big step is preparing your pond. For beginners, a small, purpose-built pond is often more manageable than trying to adapt an existing natural body of water. The ideal pond size can vary, but starting with something around 1/4 acre, about 1,000 square meters, is a good balance between manageable scale and sufficient production. Here's what goes into pond preparation. Location: choose a site that receives ample sunlight, as this supports natural food production, plankton, and helps warm the water. Avoid areas prone to flooding or heavy runoff from agricultural lands that might carry pesticides or fertilizers. Proximity to a reliable water source is also key. Shape and depth. A rectangular or square shape is easiest to manage. The ideal depth varies by species and climate, but a general rule of thumb for food fish is to have a minimum depth of 3 to 5 feet, 1 to 1.5 meters in the deepest part, with shallower areas for spawning or nursery purposes if needed. This depth helps maintain stable temperatures and provides refuge for fish during extreme weather. Construction. You can build a pond by excavating earth. The sides should be sloped at an angle of about 3 to 1, 3 units horizontal to 1 unit vertical, to prevent erosion. The bottom should be compacted to minimize water seepage. A clay base is ideal for holding water. If your soil is sandy, you might need to add clay or consider lining the pond with a pond liner, though this adds to the initial cost. Water inlet and outlet. You need a way to fill and drain your pond. A simple inlet pipe can be used to fill the pond from a well, stream, or municipal supply. An outlet structure, like a drain pipe or a siphon, is essential for managing water levels, harvesting fish, and flushing out accumulated waste. A screened outlet prevents fish from escaping. Water quality testing. Before you even think about adding fish, you must test your water. This is non-negotiable. Key parameters to check include pH. This measures acidity or alkalinity. Most fish thrive in a pH range of 6.5 to 8.5. Dissolved oxygen, DO. Fish need oxygen to breathe. Levels should ideally be above 5 milligrams per liter. Low DO is a common cause of fish mortality. Ammonia and nitrite. These are toxic byproducts of fish waste. High levels indicate a problem with water quality management. Hardness and alkalinity. These relate to the water's buffering capacity, which helps stabilize pH. Temperature. Different species have optimal temperature ranges. When stocking, acclimation. This is a critical step to prevent shock. When you bring your fingerlings home, don't just dump them into the pond. Float the bags of fish in the pond water for about 15 to 20 minutes to equalize the temperature. Then, gradually open the bags and mix some pond water into the bag over another 15 to 20 minutes before releasing the fish. Stocking density. This refers to the number of fish you put in a given volume of water. Overstocking is a common beginner mistake that leads to poor growth, disease, and mortality. The ideal stocking density depends heavily on the species, pond size, aeration, and feeding strategy. Start conservatively. For a 1/4 acre pond, you might start with a few hundred fingerlings, not thousands. Your chosen species' growth rate and tolerance for higher densities will guide this. Research recommended stocking densities for your specific fish. Feeding is a significant part of fish farming, and it directly impacts growth and health. The type and amount of feed are crucial. Feed type. For most food fish, you'll use commercially produced pelleted feed. These feeds are formulated to provide the necessary protein, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, and minerals for optimal growth. The protein content will vary depending on the fish species and its life stage. For example, fry, fingerlings, adults. Tilapia and catfish typically do well on feeds with 28 to 35% protein. Feeding frequency and amount. Feed your fish once or twice a day. The amount to feed is usually a percentage of the total body weight of the fish in the pond. A common starting point is 1 to 3% of their body weight per day. However, this requires estimating the total biomass, weight, of fish in your pond, which can be tricky. A more practical approach for beginners is to feed what they can consume within 15 to 20 minutes. Observe their feeding behavior. If they are not eating enthusiastically, you might be overfeeding. If they are constantly hungry, you might be underfeeding. Water quality and feeding. Never feed if dissolved oxygen levels are low. Fish cannot digest food properly in low oxygen conditions, and uneaten feed will decompose, further depleting oxygen and polluting the water. Water quality management is an ongoing, critical task. It's not a one-time setup. Monitoring. Regularly check key water parameters, especially dissolved oxygen and ammonia. You can purchase simple test kits for home use. Daily checks of dissolved oxygen, particularly during hot weather or at dawn, when oxygen is lowest, are highly recommended. Aeration. As mentioned, aeration is vital. If you notice fish gasping at the surface, it's a sign of low oxygen. Implement an aeration system if you don't have one, or increase its operation time. Water exchange. Periodically changing a portion of the pond water can help dilute accumulated waste products and replenish essential minerals. The frequency and amount of water exchange depend on stocking density and water quality. A partial exchange of 10 to 20% every few weeks might be sufficient for low-density systems. Algae control. A healthy pond will have some algae, which produce oxygen and provide food. However, excessive algal blooms can be problematic. They can deplete oxygen at night and when they die off. Maintaining a balanced ecosystem is key. Avoid over-fertilizing the pond, as this can lead to blooms. Disease prevention and management are crucial for a successful fish farm. Healthy fish are less susceptible to disease. Source healthy fish. As emphasized, start with fingerlings from reputable sources. Good water quality. This is your first line of defense. Stressed fish in poor water are prone to disease. Proper nutrition. Ensure your fish are receiving a balanced diet. Avoid overstocking. Overcrowding stresses fish and facilitates disease spread. Observe your fish. Regularly watch your fish for any unusual behavior, such as lethargy, loss of appetite, erratic swimming, or visible lesions. Early detection is key. Quarantine. If you introduce new fish, consider quarantining them in a separate tank or small pond for a few weeks to ensure they are disease-free before adding them to your main pond. Biosecurity. Practice good hygiene. Clean nets and equipment between ponds or different groups of fish. Harvesting is the culmination of your efforts. The method will depend on the size of your pond and the species you are raising. Netting. For smaller ponds, seine nets are commonly used. You drag the net through the pond to corral and collect the fish. Traps. Various types of fish traps can be deployed. Draining. For ponds designed with a drain, you can slowly drain the water, concentrating the fish towards the outlet where they can be netted. When harvesting, aim to do it during cooler parts of the day, like early morning or late evening, to minimize stress on the fish. Handle them gently to avoid injury. Beyond the technical aspects, there are some important considerations for a beginner. Record keeping. Keep detailed records of stocking dates, feed amounts, water quality tests, any observations of fish health, and harvest yields. This data is invaluable for learning and improving your operations. Patience and observation. Fish farming is a learning process. Be patient, observe your fish and their environment closely, and don't be afraid to adjust your methods based on what you learn. Continuous learning. The world of aquaculture is vast. Read books, attend workshops, connect with other fish farmers, and utilize resources from agricultural extension offices. Starting fish farming is a commitment, but with careful planning, diligent management, and a willingness to learn, it can be an incredibly rewarding endeavor. You're not just raising fish, you're cultivating a sustainable food source and connecting with nature in a unique way. Remember, responsible fish farming means prioritizing the health of your fish and the integrity of your environment. Start small, learn as you go, and enjoy the process. Thank you for joining me today. I hope this detailed guide has demystified the process of starting your own fish farm. If you found this information helpful, please consider following for more insights into sustainable living and food production. Happy farming!